Hello, my name is Saurabh Prasad Upadhyay, and this presentation will be a critical analysis of a program of learning which was observed in the video from story time to nap time. The observation involves the description of a story time session and transition to rest time of a small group of 4 years old children in a family daycare service. I will base my evaluation on the early year learning framework of Australia version 2.0, referred to as the EYLF principles, practices, and outcomes, and the standards of national quality standards. The national quality standard. The essence of this reflection is to respond to a question of our evaluation: what was successful and why? What will I do differently? And how shall I extend my learning further? Additionally, my main argument is that although the educator in the observation shows a caring and functional relationship with the children, the practice is overburdened with task-oriented management and does not pay much attention to pedagogical interaction. Such concentration on compliance and efficiency result in a great lack of opportunity in terms of promotion of child agency, development of critical thinking, and collection of valuable assessment data in order to organize this assessment. Analysis of learning. To access the program first, we must get the context. It is a family daycare establishment, an environment that it is a self-proclaimed advocate of a home-like milieu. As such, this situation serves to greatly shape the program and on many occasions allows the establishment of secure, respectful, and reciprocal relationship which form at the basis of EYLF and a cornerstone cornerstone of the NQS Quality Area 5, Australian Children Education and Care Quality Authority, Australian Government Department of Education. The manifestation of such secure attachment can be found in the video as the children are all close together. Yet the very essence of FTC, where one educator has to handle many tasks simultaneously, may also leave the situation where the efficiency in routine became a priority at the cost of depth of pedagogical analysis. This is reflected in the educator directive and the hurried language such as come on, sit down, okay, hurry up, Jody, sit down now. This kind of language forms a compliance-based learning context. Additionally, the dress-up clothes of the children indicate that in other instances their identity and agency are facilitated, leading to EOLF outcome 1.3. Explore aspects of identity through role play. This is, however, sabotaged by the teaching language used by the educator, which establishes the children as passive learners and not active partners. As such, this conflict between a caring environment and schedule built on compliance has a direct influence on the learning process of the children and on their feelings of agency. Pedagogical approaches. The pedagogical strategy of the educator is dominant that of personal instruction, as she uses a transmitter approach in telling stories instead of co-creating meaning. Especially during the story time, it has one positive pedagogic moment where the teacher poses, are you going to assist me? Trip trap, do it together. The children reply and subsequently they repeat it collectively. It is a good illustration of a notion of responsive teaching and intentionally through play. During this phase, she is scaffolding their involvement and rendering the story multisensory. But this is very relevant pedagogy cases as the children are passive throughout the rest of the story. As such, the teacher loses innumerable chances of purposeful instruction in areas where she should have stopped and proposed open-ended questions like why do you think the troll is so grumpy and what other things would the goat use to cross the river? Such questions would transform the approach of passive listening into the process of sustained shared thinking, which is a significant practice in the extension of learning. The transition pedagogy is also faulty as the end of the story there is sudden cut calling the children to rest. This shows discredit for the engagement of the children and does not comply with NQS 6.2.1 on transition, which says that continuity of learning and transition to children, which should be supported pedagogical of bed making through is closer to ULF. Trying to engage the children in making their beds, the educator makes the right choice and states that all elements of the program, including routines, are arranged in a way that help every children learn as much as possible. Analysis of assessment method. The children were actively involved behaviorally, meaning they sat near, listened to the scene, and uttered, "It is a monster," and "Whoa, no." It means that the outcome 5.2 was achieved as they interacted with various texts and acquired meaning. During the routine, the children help, and it also an excellent means of learning, as according to outcome 3.2, children became powerful in the physical learning and well-being by gaining competence. The practice of evaluation by the educator is, however, the weakest area of the program, as the EVALF 2.0 outcomes, a process of observing, recording, analyzing, planning, implementation, and critical reflection, but the educator seems to be stuck in the area of implementation. The implied evaluation is nothing but compliance, as there is no evaluation of the learning process. Furthermore, the educator does not pose any questions, and neither does she encourage the child to think about what they're learning. Moreover, her authoritative uh, orientation prohibits assessment for learning, as she cannot observe the scaffolded knowledge of the children by telling them what to do and how to do it. Claire and Wang. Additionally, she does not know what they might be thinking of the story, or whether or not they will be able to handle the bed sheet of their own, or how they would decide to change such. Pedagogy prevents her from accumulating the information which she requires to push planning or programs even further, what makes it far more effective. Analysis of learning environment. Physical environments such as mat on the floor is termed as fit for purpose. However, the use theory failed to meet the requirements of an inclusive environment is directly by NQS 3.2.1. The video captures how the teacher was sitting with three other children seated on the ground. The child Sophia, who is wearing a hard hat, was ordered to move twice, thus creating a situation where physical separation of one child versus the rest occurred. Furthermore, such kind of arrangement creates an unequal power structure and a monopoly of space, as such a less complicated semicircular setup in which the teacher sat on a low stool would have ensured that every child has equal access to the story. The media that are being used in the program include a book dress-up, costumes, and bed-making materials. Here the costume set in an asset as it promotes outcome 1, identity through role play. Nevertheless, the main written source, which is a classic European folktale, creates a compliance issue with NQS 1.1.1 with the early years learning framework version 2.0, focusing heavily on the inclusion of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander viewpoints and the ability to show respect to our diversity. The lack of evidence of such content implies that more culturally diverse literature should be added to the program to enhance its inclusivity. Additionally, responding to the need for being inclusive with more supplementary resources which the different culture and encourage inclusivity, it is clear that some extra resources which meet the requirements might add much value to the program. The story can be expanded with the inclusions of such resources which further support play-based learning help meet the NQS 3.2.2. As an illustration, the teacher can put blocks, sticks, and plastic animals into the playing field and ask the children to rebuild the bridge. Activities such as this would allow children to share ideas and create meaning with a variety of media, helping meet learning outcome 5.3 and thus turn the activity into experience of finding answer of their own instead of a 10-minute episode of following instruction. Professional practice and continued improvement. The last and most significant part of the assessment is the critical reflection of professional practice. Within the last part of the planning cycle, which is known as evaluation, the reflective question usually involves what was effective and why, and what will I do next time, and how can I further extend the learning of children. First and foremost, when discussing what worked well and why, the fact that the educator used one of the participatory elements known as strip trap and the drama that was inherent in the story captured to the attention of children. Furthermore, the decision to engage children in the routine of rest and was successful in promoting their self-sufficiency and self-reliance in accordance with EYLF learning outcome 3. Children have a strong sense of well-being. Moving on to what I can do better in activities following this one, I need to make sure that my future plans will are all guided by the different policies and framework within the widely accepted national quality framework. As such, taking on the role of future educator, I can make the following changes. To begin with, I will modify my language. I will also become more critical towards my use of directives. Example, sit down and move towards invitation. Example, wonder where the best place to sit would be. Uh, this justifies NQS 1.2.3 child-directed learning and respects the agency of children. Secondly, I will be more purposeful about the way I transition and I will not make abrupt conclusion. Instead, I will use that which NQS recommends aspects such as routine and rituals. NQS 1.3 like a 5-minute warning, tidying song or encouraging a child to read the last page, thus ensuring appropriate transition. Outcome 1.1 and fulfilling NQS 6.2.1. Thirdly, I will be embrace a purposeful teaching stance. I will schedule 2 or 3 major open-ended question and quiz 1.2.2 for each to read and make sure that my extension of learning is purposeful, deliberate, and thoughtful. 1.2.1 NQS. Additionally, just stopping here is not going to be as sustainable, nor is it going to bring a successful learning outcome. As such, I intend to extend the learning experience further with the help of the following activities in different areas. 1. STEAM inquiry. Move to the block corner and build a new bridge, hence facilitating the outcome 4.2. Problem solving, inquiry experimentation, hypothesizing, research and investigating. 2. Dramatic retell. Use the dress-up costumes to make a reenactment of the story to develop the outcome 5.3. Express ideas and make meaning through a variety of media. 3. Empathy and social emotional learning. Have a yearning circle about the truth and support. Outcome 1.4. Interact in relation to others with care, empathy and respectful. Australian Children Education and Care Quality Authority. Lastly, to meet the NQ 7.2.1 continuous improvement, I will share the reflection with my colleagues. Additionally, I will invite them to review my practice, hence putting my biases to the test to make sure that as a team we are determined to collaborate professionally meeting NQS 4.2.1 and pursue professional learning continuously. Now we are coming to conclusion. To sum it up, according to a critical assessment, the program under observation is pedagogically shallow in the spite of the good intention, the focus of management and compliance of the educator, the use of a directive language, and the lack of variety or extension of the resource level of the child. Reduce the ability to maximize opportunities for the learning of each child, hindering NQS 1.1.3 using the critical reflection as suggested by the UILF. I have found a definite improvement route, a change in my language transition planning, deliberate inquiry and resources to child-led inquiry can turn this so-called simple story time routine into a chance to engage in a rich and complex learning at any given point. Thank you.